Okay, we got another airline company. American Airlines. Well, this flight attendant. Now, we're identifying the flight attendant with the bald head. He's a guy wrapped the far left. He's a bald-headed guy. And he took away a stroller where the mom that has that child is right there. Took away the stroller and hit her. And we got a guy named David Dale, D-A-O, Dale, that stood up for the woman. He seen the flight attendant hit the woman, smacked her, is what the claim is. And the Association of Professional Flight Attendants, which is a union for the flight attendant, are going to speak up in this. But this is the reason why we need to get rid of these unions, these liberal unions. Unions are what causes a lot of problems. And there's another lady by the name of Morgan that you'll hear in here too. That this guy verbally abused two other passengers, assaulted another female, the mother here, that's holding a child. Okay, what is wrong with this? Why is a guy assaulting a woman that has a child in arm? Is this a new policy for America Airline to have flight attendants that can't control their emotion? Okay, so I'm going to let you see this video. And I want you to answer, should a flight attendant act like this? Or should America Airlines fire this flight attendant? Here we go.
Star Telegram reports the flight attendants union chief is asking people to please withhold your judgment on an American Airlines attendant. Passengers say he hit a mother of twins with a stroller during the boarding process. Video showed him later challenge another passenger to a fight. American Airlines has apologized to the mom. CBS News spoke to a woman who was right there and watched it all go down. Chris Van Cleve is at Reagan National Airport outside Washington with what she saw. Chris, good morning.
Well, good morning. It appears, according to American Airlines, that this all started as a passenger was boarding a flight from San Francisco to Dallas and was trying to carry a stroller onto the airplane that was just too big to go in the cabin. Now, the airline is getting pretty high marks for how it's responded to the PR crisis, grounding that flight attendant and swiftly apologizing. But this comes at a time when the industry is under a microscope for how it treats customers.
You can't use violence with baby. Just give me back my stroller, please.
The video does not show the mother being hit by the stroller or what led up to the incident. As the camera rolled, she is crying and distraught. Passenger Olivia Morgan says she saw the male flight attendant wrestling the stroller away from the woman.
He ripped it away from her, and it almost hit the little baby's head. I said to him something like, "What are you doing? You almost hit that baby in the head." And then he was just yelling at me to stay out of it.
A passenger in the first-class cabin then confronted the crew member.
Hey, bud, you do that to me and I'll knock you flat.
You stay out of this.
With the captain holding him back, the unnamed flight attendant dares the passenger to throw a punch.
You get the hell out. Get the hell out. Come on. You try that with a man, I'll knock you out.
American Airlines opened an investigation, saying the actions of our team member captured here do not appear to reflect patience or empathy. We are disappointed by these actions. The flight attendants union said neither the company nor the public should rush to judgment.
He snapped when he shouldn't have.
Airline industry analyst Henry Hartevelt says flight crews work under enormous pressure.
You don't know what the story is.
Airlines are staffing their planes with the minimum number of required flight attendants, and that's not right for the passenger or for the employee either.
The mother was later placed on a different flight and given a $1,000 flight voucher. Earlier this month, a United Airlines passenger was dragged off a plane in Chicago. United was criticized for its response, initially blaming the passenger for refusing to give up his seat and waiting days to apologize. In contrast, American has apologized directly to the family, upgraded them all on their flights home to Argentina to first class, and issued a full refund. The flight attendants union is criticizing that first class passenger who stood up saying it can be a violation of federal law to threaten a flight crew member. And American is acknowledging it simply can't have employees trying to pick fights with flyers on its airplanes. Nora?
All right, Chris, thank you so much.
Major airline faces a public relations problem tonight. This time it's American Airlines. We've been reporting about how a crew member has been suspended for allegedly hitting a mother with a stroller. You know, the video after that incident showed the woman in tears before another passenger stood up and then confronted that flight attendant with some pretty harsh language, apparently. Well, now the Association of Professional Flight Attendants is defending the American Airlines employee. Brian Yenis has more details from our New York City newsroom. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Eric. Well, the Association of Professional Flight Attendants now appears to be blaming American Airlines and even passengers in defense of this flight attendant who was suspended from his job after an altercation with two passengers on board Flight 591 on Friday. All of this started when a passenger on board the American Airlines flight from San Francisco to Dallas-Fort Worth posted a nearly 3-minute video showing a mother crying on board and a flight attendant getting into a verbal fight with a male passenger. According to the social media post, the flight attendant allegedly and violently took a stroller from the woman, hitting her and just missing the baby. The video does not show this part, but it does show a male passenger then standing up in defense of the woman and getting into a verbal altercation with the male flight attendant. The flight attendant was suspended by American Airlines. Now the flight attendants union is defending the flight attendant, pinning the blame on the airline for making it harder to do their jobs thanks to overcrowded planes and shrinking seats. And in a statement, the union urges the public not to jump to conclusions, pointing the finger at passenger air rage, saying, quote, "One, we don't know all of the facts related to a passenger who became distraught while boarding a plane, and therefore neither the company nor the public should rush to judgment. Second, it appears another passenger may have threatened a flight attendant with violence, which is a violation of federal law and no small matter. Air rage has become a serious issue on our flights." American Airlines reacted Friday night in a statement saying they were deeply sorry. They suspended the flight attendant while the investigation continues and upgraded that passenger's remaining international flight, that woman, to first class for the remainder of her flights. But again, based on what we saw with United, all eyes on whether or not how they're going to handle this public relations disaster.
Yeah, I know. I mean, air rage is getting out of control. Maybe we can all calm down, perhaps. Yeah. Especially, well, they didn't take off, especially if you're up there, way up in the air.
Exactly.
All right, Orthel now on the legal aspects.
Yeah, we're going to get more in this, bringing in our legal panel right now with the defense attorney, former prosecutor David Schwartz, and trial attorney Rachel Self. So, Rachel, I'll start with you. You know, what's the next step for the American Airlines? I mean, they issued an apology right away. Should the airlines consider changing policy and procedure, perhaps pay a payout to this passenger, that woman who was seen crying in the video?
I think absolutely something is definitely wrong here. I mean, air rage isn't okay on the part of the passenger. It's not okay on the part of the flight attendant. And after everything that we've been seeing the last few weeks, I'm ready to bring a bodyguard next time I get on a plane. Snakes on a plane is looking like Mary Poppins after what we've been seeing the last couple of weeks. And when people are crying, people are getting bloody noses, babies are being placed in danger, I think it is time to start to re-examine your policies.
David, so what about flight attendants unit? I mean, you just heard this. Brian Yenis reported the Association of Professional Flight Attendants defending their co-worker. Does the union need to update or refresh its policy and conduct handbook?
No, I don't know. Arthel, I don't know where the union has been up to this point. The union's job is to defend their members. That's what a union's job is to do. And to just rush to judgment, we didn't see the video of this incident. We don't know what happened. I do know that you don't bring a stroller onto the plane. Everyone puts their stroller right before you get onto the plane. The airline takes the stroller and then they give it back to you. So that right away tells me that something is very wrong here. And we can't generalize the behavior. These are very hardworking people. They work really hard, and for the most part, they do a great job. So we can't look at 2 incidents and say this is the norm.
Well, then, Rachel, will pick up there. What about the paying customers, those of us who fly? Do we need a reminder that the flight attendants are there mainly for the safety and orderly evacuation of passengers, should that be needed? You know, they go through rigorous training to qualify for the job. They're not just there to serve us drinks and snacks.
No, and I don't think that this is a situation where a passenger is being disrespectful. It wasn't the situation with Dr. Dow either. I think that what we really need to do is evaluate. And when you book your flight online, there's not an option box to get assaulted and get battered. You don't agree to that.
Right.
And so I think that everybody really needs to maybe take a breath. This gentleman in the video came across as very, very angry. He was alleged by witnesses that were there to himself be in a full rage. This particular flight attendant. And no, we didn't see the beginning of this altercation, but I think that we can all agree that an insurance, a president of an insurance company, Mr. Fierro, who felt compelled to stand up and defend this woman, well, he certainly knows something about risk and taking unnecessary risks. Being the president of an insurance company, I don't think he would have stood up if this wasn't an excessive situation.
Well, we don't know that, and just because he's a president of an insurance company is not dispositive of anything. We don't know if he was drinking or what his actions were. So that's why. That's why. Wait. Well, that's why we have due process. There's a process, all right, and we have to do an investigation. We can't just jump to conclusions that where we're concluding that the flight attendant's wrong and the passenger's always right. That's just not the way it works out.
No, but I think that the video speaks for itself
no, it doesn't.
here.
And
the way that the flight attendant was yelling at everybody and saying back off and saying hit me, go on and hit me. That's not how a flight attendant typically acts.
That's very true, but we don't know what precipitated that, and we don't know the actions of that passenger.
Well, we know that a baby almost getting hit with a stroller precipitated it, because that's what made everybody concerned.
Rachel, this is what we heard. We just don't know that. We didn't speak to all the passengers. We didn't do the investigation.
4 passengers.
And this is the problem that there's always a rush to judgment. This is what happens with all the police cases, that there's one incident and all of a sudden the hundreds of thousands of cops all across this country are bad. It's the same thing with the flight attendants. I think that we can agree, David.
I think we can agree, David, that this isn't one incident. I mean, air rage is on the rise. It's what all of these reports are saying, and we're seeing this everywhere. And the problem is that what we perhaps need to do is everybody needs to just take a breath.
I agree.
Everyone's stressed when they're traveling, especially apparently a single mother traveling with 2 babies.
Right.
And, I mean, everybody just needs to take a breath and not be yelling at everyone else. It doesn't work.
Rachel, I agree 100%, but that person could be wrong also. You don't bring a stroller onto the airplane. When did you ever see that?
Okay,
no
so
one does that. Right.
I have seen that.
I've never seen
certain strollers that I've seen certain strollers that are folding strollers that go up into the upper compartments. And at that point, somebody maybe should have told her way up at the gangway not to go down there with it. I mean, there's a lot of instances in which it is okay to bring a stroller on a plane. So that's not dispositive either.
So, David, we haven't seen the entire video. We only saw a snippet of it.
Right.
And that's what everybody's saying. Let's consider the entire incident, what led up to it, how it ended, etc., after what we saw. But from what we have seen, does it appear that there's legal recourse for this mother? And what about the discipline for this flight attendant? He's already been suspended. I mean, should there be more?
Okay, Arthel, there may be legal recourse, but based on what we've seen so far, I think the damages are minimal damages here. I haven't seen anything. So that's why there's a court, and that's why there's an administrative process, and that's why you have to go through that process. It seems like the airline was trying to do the right thing. They gave her a first-class seat, and they tried to accommodate her, but I didn't see anything on that video which would constitute damages in this case.
David Schwartz, Rachel Self. I'm sorry, Rachel. Oh, you said you agree? Okay, I heard you.
I did.
Okay, I didn't want to cut you off, but I got to go. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
You just seen the video, but they also said that it's a felony for a customer on a flight to threaten a flight attendant. Why isn't it a felony for a flight attendant to threaten a passenger? I think there should be new rules that flight attendants cannot threaten or put their hands on the customer that's paying. Okay. Like it if you do, dislike it if you don't like it, leave a comment, or hit the subscribe button. Thank you.